If you're an LDS family staring at your budget, wondering how on earth you're supposed to pay a full tithe and build a year's supply of food storage, you need to hear this. Because here's what nobody's telling you. The math actually works, but not the way you think. See, I spent 2 years trying to do both and failing at everything. We were paying tithing on gross income, because that's what we felt was right, but our food storage was basically 3 cans of beans and some expired oatmeal in the garage. And I kept seeing all these other LDS families with these beautiful, organized pantries, full of wheat and rice, and those number 10 cans stacked to the ceiling. And I'm thinking, how? How are they affording this? Well, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact system that took us from broke and unprepared to fully stocked in 18 months, while never missing a tithing payment. But you need to stick with me through all 3 parts of this framework, because if you skip even one step, the whole thing falls apart like a house of cards. Here's what we're covering today. First, I'm going to show you the one budgeting mistake that's costing LDS families thousands of dollars every single year. And it has nothing to do with Starbucks or eating out. Second, you'll learn the priority hierarchy that actually aligns with church teachings, because what you've been told about paying yourself first doesn't work when you're living the covenant path. And third, I'll give you the exact shopping strategy that lets you build food storage for less than $50 a month, even if you're a family of 6. Let me take you back to 2019. My wife and I had just had our 3rd kid. We were living in a cramped apartment in Provo. I was making decent money in tech, but it felt like we were drowning. Every month, the same cycle. Paycheck hits, tithing comes out first. 10% right off the top, no questions asked. That's non-negotiable for us. Then rent, then the car payment, then groceries, then utilities. And by the time we got to the end of the month, nothing. Nothing left for food storage. Nothing left for emergency fund. Definitely nothing left for that family vacation we kept promising the kids. And here's the thing that kept me up at night. I knew that both tithing and food storage were commandments. Both of them. The prophet had literally stood at General Conference and said, "Build your supply." But it felt impossible to do both. So I did what any good millennial does. I made a spreadsheet. I tracked every dollar for 3 months. And that's when I discovered something that changed everything. The problem wasn't that we didn't have enough money. The problem was that I was budgeting like someone who had 100% of their income available. But I don't. And neither do you. We have 90%. See, here's what most financial advice gets wrong when it comes to LDS families. Dave Ramsey tells you to follow the 50-30-20 rule, right? 50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings. Except if you're paying tithing, that math doesn't work. At all. Let me show you why. If you make $5,000 a month and you're tithing on gross, and we'll talk about gross versus net in a second, that's $500 gone immediately. You now have $4,500. But all the budgeting percentages in the world are based on that original $5,000. So when Dave says 50% for needs, he means $2,500. But you only have $4,500 total. See the problem? You're trying to fit a 100% budget into a 90% income. It's like trying to pour a gallon of water into a 3-quart pitcher. Something's got to give. And usually what gives? Food storage, savings, date nights, the stuff that feels optional. But food storage isn't optional. President Nelson has been crystal clear about this. So here's the first shift you need to make. Stop budgeting from your gross income. Start budgeting from your after-tithing number. That's your real income. That's what you actually have to work with. For us, that was the light bulb moment. Once I rebuilt our budget starting with that $4,500 instead of the $5,000, everything clicked into place. Now, quick side note on gross versus net, because I know someone's going to ask. The church handbook says the definition of income is left up to you. Some people tithe on gross, some on net. I'm not going to tell you which one is right. That's between you and the Lord. But I will tell you this. If you're tithing on gross and your budget is completely falling apart, it might be worth having that conversation with your spouse and with Heavenly Father. Because here's what I learned. It's better to tithe on net and actually be financially stable enough to serve a mission someday than to tithe on gross and end up in so much debt that you can't accept a calling. That's not me being unorthodox. That's me being practical about stewardship. Okay, moving on. Once you've redefined your income as your after tithing number, the next step is understanding the priority hierarchy, because not all expenses are created equal. And in the LDS budgeting world, the order matters a lot. Here's the hierarchy I use, and it's based directly on church teachings. Priority 1, tithing and fast offerings, non-negotiable. This comes out first. Priority 2, the four walls, food, shelter, utilities, transportation, the basics of survival. Priority 3, food storage and emergency fund. These are doctrinal imperatives, not suggestions. Priority 4, debt payments. Yes, even above retirement, because debt limits your agency. Priority 5, retirement and kids' education savings. Priority 6, everything else. Date nights, hobbies, eating out, new phones, all of it. Now, most financial gurus will tell you to pay yourself first. Put 20% into retirement before you do anything else. But that doesn't work for us. Because if you're putting 20% into a 401k and 10% into tithing, that's 30% gone before you've even fed your kids or paid rent. See the problem? The LDS priority hierarchy is different. It's stewardship-based, not accumulation-based. Our job isn't to get rich. Our job is to be self-reliant so we can serve. That means food storage and emergency fund come before retirement. Because if you lose your job and you have no food and no savings, your 401k doesn't help you. And I know that's controversial. I know Susie Orman would have a heart attack hearing me say that. But I'm not talking to Susie Orman's audience. I'm talking to you. And you have different obligations. So here's what this looks like in practice. Once tithing is paid and the four walls are covered, the next chunk of money goes into two buckets simultaneously: food storage and emergency fund. For us, that was $100 a month. 50 to food storage, 50 to emergency fund. Is that enough to fully fund a 6-month emergency fund? No. Is it enough to build a year's supply in 6 months? Also no. But it's enough to make consistent progress. And that's what matters. Because here's the secret. Food storage is actually an investment. Okay, this is the part that changed everything for me. I stopped seeing food storage as an expense, and I started seeing it as an asset. Let me explain. Right now, inflation on groceries is running somewhere between 5 and 8% annually. It fluctuates, but it's high. That means if you buy a 50-pound bag of rice today for $30, and the price of rice goes up 7% next year, you just earned 7% on that $30. That's a 2.10 return, tax-free. Show me a high-yield savings account that beats 7% right now. You can't. They don't exist. So when you buy food storage, you're not just spending money. You're locking in today's prices and protecting yourself against tomorrow's inflation. It's a hedge, just like buying gold or real estate, except you can eat it. And when you reframe it this way, it becomes way easier to justify putting $50 or $100 a month toward food storage, because you're not spending that money. You're investing it. Now, here's the practical part. You can't just go out and drop $3,000 at Costco and call it done. Most LDS families don't have $3,000 lying around, so you build it slow, piece by piece. Here's the strategy we used. Every month, we'd pick one category. 1 month it's grains, next month it's beans, next month it's canned goods. And we'd buy in bulk from the church's home storage center whenever possible, because the prices there are insane. A 50-pound bag of wheat? $23. You're not beating that anywhere. We also use something I call the rotation budget. Basically, you build your food storage into your regular grocery budget by buying double. If you normally buy 2 jars of peanut butter a month, you buy 4. 2 get used. 2 go on the shelf. Over time, your pantry grows. And you're not actually spending extra money. You're just shifting when you consume it. This is called FIFO inventory management. First in, first out. Restaurants use it, Warehouses use it, and it works for your garage. Within 18 months, we had a legitimate year's supply. Not because we had a ton of money, but because we had a system. And here's the kicker. Our grocery bill actually went down because we were shopping from our storage during tight months instead of running to the store and impulse buying. Okay, rapid-fire tactics before we wrap up. Number 1. Use a budgeting app that lets you set up tithing as an automatic recurring expense. I like Monarch app because you can create custom categories. Set up a tithing category, a food storage category, and a fast offerings category. Boom, you're tracking covenant spending. Link in bio to check it out. First 7 days are free. Number 2. If you're buying from the home storage center, go with a friend and split the gas. Make it a Relief Society activity. Seriously, it's cheaper and way more fun. Number 3. Track your food storage inventory. Use a simple spreadsheet or even just a notebook. Write down what you have, when you bought it, and when it expires. This prevents you from buying duplicates and wasting money. Number 4. If you're really strapped and you can't afford $50 a month, start with 10. Buy 1 case of canned goods, 1 bag of rice. Just start. Because the prophet didn't say, build a year's supply if you can afford it. He said, build it. And number 5, pray about it. I'm serious. Ask Heavenly Father to help you find the money. Ask Him to show you where you're wasting. He will. Every single time. Okay, so to recap. Step 1, redefine your income as your after-tithing number. Budget from there. Step 2, follow the priority hierarchy. Tithing, 4 walls, food storage/emergency fund, debt, retirement, everything else. Step 3, reframe food storage as an investment, not an expense. And Step 4, build it slow using the rotation budget and bulk buying strategy. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, okay, but what about the gross versus net tithing question? I still don't know what to do. I made an entire video breaking down the math on that. The link is right here. Because here's the thing, I ran the numbers. And over a 40-year working life, the difference between tithing on gross versus net for a family making $100,000 is over $500,000 in lost compound interest. That's not a small decision. And you need to see the math before you make it. So click that video right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.